breakout session number 28. We've titled this one, I See Everywhere. Okay, so before we get started, I want to say hi to all the members of the Guitar League out there that might be watching today. And as usual, I ask you, if you haven't already, would you please subscribe and hit the little bell, and we'll let you know the next time we have a session coming out. And if you like this content, go ahead and hit the like button. I'd sure appreciate it. Okay, so today we're going to talk about all things C. We're going to talk about C scales, major scales, minor scales, Mixolydian scales. We're going to talk about C chords, everything to do with C. Okay, so I'm just coming off a wonderful guitar camp that I spent with a bunch of great guys from all over the country and Canada. And one of the focuses of that camp was to share skills and ideas and stuff and techniques. So with that in mind, I'd like to share this idea with you. Okay, so today what I want to talk about is learning the C scales, or the notes in the C scales, everywhere on the fretboard, okay? And putting a name and a number to them, which I think is going to be very important as we get along. So I am going to put a link to this chart down in the description. Also, this chart comes to us by way of the Guitar Scientist website, which I will put some information about that too, so you can go on there. That is a great site to get all kinds of guitar diagrams, notes, chords, all that stuff. Or you can make your own. Okay, if you're trying to work out something, you can make your own diagrams on there and save them and share them with others, or don't share them with others. So that's a great site. That's a good tip just from this breakout session alone. So I recommend now that you pause this video, print out this chart, preferably in color, and then get it and come back and we will start working on it. So go ahead. Oh, you back already? That was quick. Okay, so what do I do with this, Bob asks. Well, what you can do with this is a lot of things. First of all, number 1 through 7 would be your major scale. Number 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 would be your major pentatonic scale. Number 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7 would be your minor pentatonic scale. Number 1, flat 3, 4, flat 5, 5, 6, no, flat 7 would be the blues scale. There's 3 flats in that scale, one of which is the flat 5, which is the blue note, as they call it. Then you get Mixolydian would be the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7 would be the Mixolydian scale, and so on. And then as far as arpeggios go, or chord notes, the 1, 3, 5 would be the major chord, C major chord. Then you've got the 1, 3, 5, flat 7 would be the C dominant 7 chord. The 1, flat 3, 5 is the minor arpeggio, and then the 1, flat 3, flat 7 would be the minor 7 arpeggio, and so on. So all these numbers are like important to learn. I know a lot of you are working on fretboard domination, and you're working on the pentatonic scale up and down the fretboard. Well, now you can put a name and a number to those notes. And I think you're going to discover things that you didn't know before, okay? For instance, I think if you just literally look at this chart, study this chart with a guitar in hand, and play some of the different numbers here that you know the scales. We just talked about the scales, but you can try those scales in a different position or starting on a different note. For instance, let's say that you started, rather than starting on a C note to do a C pentatonic scale, What if you started on the G? It's a whole different way of doing it. That's Max Rich's favorite scale, by the way. But the point of this is you don't have to start it on the 1 necessarily, okay? And I'm not talking about modes. That's a whole other thing, that you would start a scale and finish a scale on a note other than the original note. I did a video on modes already, on some of them. But we're not talking about that. We're just talking about, let's say you're playing a C pentatonic scale, but you're going to start it somewhere else. Or another thing that I discovered from this little chart, just playing around with it, was a different fingering. You know, like for instance, on a C blues scale, what if I don't think this is a fingering that you do a lot. So I'm starting on the C note on the 3rd fret, but I know now that, you know, if I go C and then I go a flat 3rd, a 4, a flat 5, a 5, a 6, and a flat 7, that I have a C blues scale. I don't think a lot of people play it that way, you know, without fingering. Maybe they do, but I didn't. And just by messing around with this little chart, I saw that, oh, this is a C blues scale with this fingering. Or you could do it, just come up to a flat 3rd. So this is the C minor pentatonic that I think most people play out of. But you can bring that, and you know, this is like a barred C right there, an E-shaped C chord. So you're playing the pentatonic this way. Okay? You can also play it below that line. This is minor pentatonic in a shape that I don't think a lot of people use. But that new shape that I was just telling you about, you can combine those two. And then come up to the other one. So you're in front of this now. I don't know, this is just a different way of doing it for me, and I think I got it just by studying that, seeing where the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, 6, 7 stuff is, and figuring out different things. So another thing that I think you can do with this chart, you know, again, studying it with the guitar in your hand, is, you know, making different chord voicings, knowing what notes go in a chord, what number notes go in a chord. You can make different fingerings. Okay, this is not rocket science here, but you know, this C right here, for instance, so that you can see on here where the 1, 3, 5 notes are on the chart. Okay, and then you could add another 1 on the bottom here on the 8th fret. That's everybody knows that chord right there. Okay, but if you just come down a half a step, that's a C major 7. You probably know this, but then you come down one more and it's a C dominant 7. But this is really simple stuff here and easy stuff to grab. I mean, I know there's a C major 7 there that's pretty easy, but if you were trying to get a little higher tone to it, a little more treble in it, you could come to this little chord shape here. And obviously, you can move that everywhere. You know, that's the other thing about this. Okay, so back to that little blues scale that I was doing in a little different configuration. Well, obviously, if you come up to D, it's the D blues scale. If you came to E, you know, I just think it's in a different place than we're used to doing it. I know somebody's going to say, well, that's position number whatever, 3, 4, I don't know. But I just know that I discovered that on that chart, that fingering for me, and that fingering for me works really good. So, okay, so also another thing you can get from the fingering is we talked about sixths and we talked about thirds. I think you'll be able to see that scenario much better by looking at the chart and knowing where the numbers are, okay? I did a whole video on the sixes and thirds. I think I call it looking at, it was breakout session number 13, looking at guitar from a different angle. I'll put a link to that in here too. But I think now that you've looked at this chart for a while, and you go back and look at that video, it might make a whole lot more sense. So, you know, I guess the answer to the question is of what do I do with this? It's really up to you what you do with this. I think there's like a million things in this little chart here. Also, there's, if you do it in color, there's some little rectangles and triangles that this gentleman put on his chart that I'm not 100% sure what they represent. I'm going to try to ask him, but if anybody figures that out, let me know in the comments of what he looks like he's got 4s and 7s, little rectangles and triangles, and I'm not sure exactly what he represents with that. So anyway, I hope this helps you a little bit. Study this chart and see what you can make out of it. I think that's the idea, is what can you do with that chart? It's already helping me find stuff and looking at it from a different viewpoint. So I hope to see you in the next video, and let me know if this made any sense to you. And thanks for stopping by. See you later.